Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to discuss a little bit in detail about Lotic ecosystem. In my last video, we discussed the differences between lentic and Lotic ecosystems, and we discussed different types of inland water, right? Now we are going to focus specifically only on Lotic water bodies. Now, what is a Lotic water body? A Lotic water body, it's nothing but just any water body where the water it is flowing, and this flow it will be in indefinite direction under the influence of gravity. So these ecosystems or these water bodies, they originate from sources like glaciers or springs, which are located at higher reaches, at higher altitudes. And because they are at higher altitudes, when water kind of flowing from that origin, under the influence of gravitational pull, starts moving downhill. And that's when these water bodies, they become moving, right? So they will have different types of stretches where the velocity, water velocity will be different, water volume will be different, and the parameter of these flowing ecosystems, it is also highly diverse, highly complex in nature um, because of the large area that they covers during their travel. Now, different among the different types of lotic ecosystems, first one we are going to discuss is springs. What is a spring? We all know that what is a spring, right? At one point of time, all of us have heard about spring. So, whenever there is an aquifer or there is a rock which accumulates, which has a capability to accumulate or to hold water, whenever it gets saturated, the water, instead of keeping it underground, it starts flowing as a surface water. It starts to um, erupt at certain places on the land surface. And those erupted underground water to become surface water, we call those as springs. Springs are highly diverse. They can be cold water, or it can be hot water springs. In India, we have different locations where we have the hot water springs, like in some of the hot water springs in Himachal Pradesh, or some are located in Jharkhand as well. So now springs, they can be perennial. Um, Perennial means they will be present all across the um, annual year, right? And it could be seasonal and or ephemeral. They'll originate during certain period of monsoon where the water table it is high enough to just ooze out in the form of surface water, right? So now next comes the category. I'm keeping three types of lotic ecosystems together, and these are brooks, creeks, and streams. So these three types of lotic ecosystems, they are similar to each other in many ways, but um, they just differ with respect of their, stretch, their um, width, the width of the water, or how the landscape, in which kind of landscape they are present. So, because of that nature, these are named differently. So, these all are comparatively smaller water bodies. Now, what is a brook? So, we usually classify a smaller lotic ecosystem as a brook when we can, cross it, right? So without any aid, without any bridge or anything, we can just cross it, and it is not at all sheltered. It doesn't have any kind of trees in its riparian zone. So that we call as brooks. Now we have the second category as creeks. Creeks are larger than brooks, and they are usually sheltered by trees. On the banks, we get to see many trees, right? So those are creeks. The streams, they are larger than creeks and has a higher, greater water flow. So these are three examples which are more or less very smaller type of lotic ecosystems. Then comes the river. River is the most important category of lotic ecosystems, which has a lot of water volume, the speed of flow is good, velocity, I mean to say, and then the flowing water, it drains the whole landscape. Then it will have different types of biotic and abiotic components that live together, they interact together, and as a result, rivers, they are more complex in nature. So now if we, so these with this these images, they will um, show us or give us an idea about different types of local ecosystems. So first one right here is a spring. As you can see, the water is kind of coming out from the land surface. Then we have this is a creek, then the brook, and then the final one is the stream. So if you take a look at the brook and creek, you can very easily see that brook we can cross without any aid, and it is not sheltered by trees. However, in creek you can see it's comparatively wider and it has trees on its bank, so it is sheltered. And stream, we have a large water volume and it has a complex landscape as well. Now, if we talk about the stream in a little bit more detail, then we can we can see that streams, they are larger than creek and they have a greater water flow and water velocity. So here in this image on left hand side, you can see an image which shows a stream, and if you see the image, it will clearly tell us that the water volume in this water body in this Lotic ecosystem is quite high. The velocity is very high. The water is flowing at a very high speed. Usually these streams, they are located on the higher reaches, on the elevations. And these streams, they are classified based on the size, and there is a specific type of nomenclature that we follow while naming the streams, right? So what happens in a catchment? So on the right hand side, if you see, there is an image of a watershed, right? Where you can see the bluish portion, it is the stream. And the streams, there are certain numbers also if you take a look at it. So these are numbers like 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So these 1, 2, 3, all these are streams, but these streams are of different orders. So there is a set hierarchy for the nomenclature of streams in a watershed, in a common landscape, right? So if you take a look, the smallest order of a stream is named as 1, stream order 1. So you in this image, it is very clearly uh, visible that the 1, it directly receives water from the um, you can say the land masses directly from the catchment or watershed. Then what happens as this stream order 1, these are smallest in size and volume, but when these kind of travel through the area, through the landscape, they will, these stream order 1 from different areas, they will come together and they will join to form a bigger stream. And that bigger stream, now it will, we call that bigger stream as stream order 2. The same thing happened, and now two stream order uh, of the order 2, they will come together to form a stream order 3. So that's how the streams, they actually in a landscape while flowing, they join each other to form a larger ecosystem, to form a larger water body while moving. So it's a kind of very interesting actually. So these streams ultimately, when a large number of streams, they come together, they form a larger river. So that's how the streams, they are um, named, and that's how we distinguish between the different types of streams. So the slowest order will be closer to the headwater region, and headwater region is what, from where the streams originate. So from like if a stream is originating from a glacier, the first flowing water channel that originates from that area, we call that as the smallest stream order 1. And then slowly and steadily the number increases as different streams, they come together and join each other, increase the volume and water velocity. So This is regarding the streams. Now let's talk about rivers. What are rivers? So rivers, these are the most common type of lotic ecosystem which we all have come across in our lives. India, we are very rich in different types of large rivers like Ganga, then we have Brahmaputra, we have Jhelum, we have Chenab. So there are so many larger rivers with its system, with its distributaries and tributaries. So there's a huge network of rivers in our country, both in north as well as in south, east and west, everywhere. Now, what is a river? River ecosystems, these are again the flowing water where the volume of water is very, very high. So many streams of very large order, they come together to form a large uh, flowing water body which we call as the rivers. And these include these flowing water bodies, they drain the whole landscape. So when in a catchment where the different types of streams they originate, as soon as we reach to the lower reaches, all those streams they will come together to form um, a river. So these rivers they have many biotic and abiotic components in it, and these biotic abiotic components they also form different types of interactions. So river ecosystems thus are part of larger watershed networks or catchments where smaller headwater streams they drain into mid-sized stream which progressively drain into larger rivers. Now, there are certain characteristics to the river ecosystem. Now, river ecosystem again, just like the other any other Lotic ecosystem, it's a flowing water body. It's unidirectional. Then it flows under the influence of gravity, and there is a state of continuous physical change. So, throughout the river course, throughout the journey of a river, it undergoes continuous changes in its physical parameters. So it's continuously changing, and then it has many different types of microhabitats because of its the area it passes through. There are many different habitats which are again dynamic and larger habitats than microhabitats, large number of places or shelter it provides to the growth of several biotic components. Then there is always a variability in the flow rates of water. In the upper reaches, the flow rate is higher, and then as it reaches to the plains, the flow rate it becomes little bit slower, right? Then these rivers, the plants and animals in different zones of the rivers, they are adapted to the water flow conditions. Like if there is a hill, if there is a river in the hilly areas, the fishes, let's say for just for an example, fishes which lives in those hilly areas, they are well adapted to survive those um, unique ecosystems, unique habitats, like right. So they are adapted to high water velocity. They are adapted to high light intensity. So there are many things the bodies of these fishes they are adapted to. So plants and animals which live in certain section of the river, they are adapted to that water flow conditions. So if you take a look on the left hand side, you will see there is this the zonation in the river. So there is a headwater, then we have certain areas, wetlands, then we have tributaries which join together to form the river. Then we have floodplains. Floodplains are nothing but the areas along the bank of the river where the river expands or stretches once the water volume increases during the flood period. That is the floodplain. Then slowly and steadily it will reach out in the plains. Now this again it gives us some of the um, you can say the definitions that are related to river and its course. So first one is the river source. River source we call as headwater, and this river source or headwater it is the place where the rivers originate. This headwater it can be a spring, it can be glacier, it can be a very large high altitude lake. So all can be the river source. Slowly and steadily in the course, then we have the tributaries. A tributary is a river or stream that feeds into another larger river. So many tributaries, they will come together and drain into a larger river. So those are tributaries. Then we have river channel. River channel is actually it's the path or it's the course the river takes while flowing. So the river never follows a straight path. If you take an aerial view of any river, you will see that it kinds of um, uh, it uh, carves its course. It carves its course in the um, land, right? So that river course, we usually call that as river meanders. It moves across the different landscapes um, in certain ways, right? There will be curves and bends, etc. It's never going to be a straight line. Then we have river banks. So all the sides or the periphery of the river we call as river banks. So these are basically the land next to a river, and these usually will have a lot of vegetation, and those vegetation sometimes we call that as riparian habitat. And then once the river it comes closer to the ocean, so these rivers they will be called as mouth. So if you see in this, when the river is close to enter into ocean, now here the river it kind of branches out, and this happens because all the sediments that it's bringing from right from the headwater to this zone, now it's time to settle down that sediments. And why that happens? Because the flow, the velocity of the rivers in plains, it becomes very calm. It kind of slows down, and all the sediments it tries to settle before entering into the ocean. That settled sediments usually takes the form of huge triangle shaped deltas. So in the mouth region of any large river, we usually get to see many great, highly diverse, highly fertile land, which we call as the delta. And these are nothing but the sediments rich in organic matter brought by that river to before entering into the ocean. So that is the mouth or the delta region. Yeah. So in this slide again, we mentioned the same which we discussed the last slide. That is a river structure, which will have a river source or headwater, and tributaries. Then we have river channel, river bank, riparian zone, mouth, delta, and then finally the floodplains. And with this slide, a general overview on Lotic ecosystems are done. So yeah, with that, I think there are few other videos in my on my channel related to different functional aspects of larger rivers, like what's the river continuum concept, nutrient spiraling, and I'm gonna upload one more regarding the flood pulse concept as well. So yeah, keep watching my channel, and with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Have a good day. Bye bye.